How you going, everybody? From a quickly getting reconstructed or deconstructed Radio Row here in New Orleans. Laurie Horesh, Phil Murphy here. This is the Brekkie Show Super Bowl Novelty Propular Demand Special, brought to you by Tab Laws. We are the last men standing here. I mean, because we want to give you the most accurate numbers possible. Kickoff is imminent here. Super Bowl 59, Philadelphia, Kansas City. We're just going to take you through our tips and how we think this is going to play out, and you might be able to have a profitable day on Monday morning from 9 a.m. on ESPN.
Yeah, look, it's not that I've had a gold rush of profitable days on Propular Demand so far.
It's one way to put it.
One way to put it. But this is a chance. This is the last Hail Mary to try and, if not even the ledger, claw back a little bit against you.
You're 22 and a half units down.
Hey, I keep being told there was once a Super Bowl where it was 28-3.
Are you taking an Andy Reid anytime touchdown?
Well, are you going to pass on third down when you could run the ball, get a 2-score lead, and just salt this thing away, or are you going to put your quarterback in a position to have the ball turned over and let the Patriots win another one?
I'm going to be net positive and build on my plus 8.32 units on the season. That's the goal.
But this is a fun show. This is something that we build towards. It's a mixture of how we see the game playing out, a little bit of novelty fun as well.
Yeah.
I can tell you, Gatorade will be mentioned. I can't say that it's going to be delivered with much gusto.
Yeah. Hey.
See what happens. I mean, this is what happens with just less than a week together in the same continent. So the way we wanted to do it, though, this year, because we know that quite often in shows ahead of the Super Bowl, people will save their picks about which way they see the game's going. But that
the very end.
Yeah.
They'll give you all the I mean, we did it on the Blitz. We had, Jeff Saturday, Dan Orlovsky, we come on, we talk about the game, dissect it from every angle, leaning into their expertise. And then at the very end, okay, all that said, how do you see it going? But that doesn't really work with this because so much of these props and how we see things going, much of it hinges on game script and how the game itself goes. So we're actually going to kind of show our hands early.
Absolutely.
With winner scoring inclinations, perhaps with that. And then we're going to go through throwing the ball, running the ball, catching the ball, not necessarily quarterbacks, running backs, and receivers. That's a difference. And then tell you there, basically we'll get you to the finish line first, how we got there. And if you agree with anything along the way, hop on board. And, if you want to fade laws, like I did much of the season, you can prepay your child's college tuition.
Well, I mean, in the fine country of Australia, we do have HEX, which is great. It allows people to get to school, get to university, get higher education.
Not in America.
Anyway.
Extortion.
We have really veered off the runway quickly here, so let's get this
If you had the under 4 minutes, cash those checks.
All right, let's start this thing off. Let's look at it from the top. This game has been a 1.5 point spread, and then on the number, it was Kansas City were $1.80 favorites for much of it. Looks like it's moving towards $1.85 as we're sitting here right now. But in the head-to-head sphere of this, Phil, which way do you see this going? Are you riding the Chiefs to a three-peat, or do you see the Philadelphia Eagles winning their first Super Bowl in the Crescent City?
Laws, when we did our Super Bowl champions draft, I want to say week 15 of the season, we went through and we said, okay, we each picked 5 teams in kind of snake order about who we thought would win the Super Bowl.
I remember. Your
first pick was the Bills, not a bad pick. At the time, they had the shortest odds to win it. I told you then. Had I had the first pick overall, I would have gone with the Eagles. I'm not changing that. My second pick was the Chiefs, so I think it's going to be fine margins. But I think in this Patrick Mahomes dynasty era, the Eagles are the strongest opponent faced by the Chiefs. And this is not the best Chiefs team. They are wily. They are experienced. They have intangibles. They're bringing the house down here in New Orleans. But Philly all season has lost 3 games. 2 of those, it was because they dropped the ball in the closing moments. They cannot afford those mental miscues here. But if you give me even money for the team that when I turn on the tape and I strip away reputation, it's not that it's irrelevant, but when I turn on the tape, I see a superior football team in Philly. I'm taking even money for them to win, heads up. And I toy with the multi of, do I see it happening a certain way? Saquon Barkley getting over 100 yards and the Eagles winning $2.45. If you can get a little bit stronger of a number, and again, these numbers are subject to change, maybe something north of 250, have a crack at that. But because I do think for Philly to win, Saquon can't have a bad day. He's not going to be sitting there around 70 yards or so. But I don't see him necessarily going for 200. I will take the Eagles at $2.
I think what makes the Eagles so appetizing is the strengths are so obviously strong.
Yeah.
You look at the interior of the
And they've embraced
line up front, right? The Milton Williams, Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis coming
The name
on.
you said first is interesting.
Well, yeah, we might get to that in just a little bit there. Then the talent you're seeing on the edge as well with Nolan Smith coming on. Incredibly, Brennan Graham makes it back for this
Nolan
one.
Smith, 9 pressures in the playoffs, 5 sacks?
This was a guy we loved. And then
we both loved him.
The strength of the offensive line is well known to Australians back home, particularly because of Jordan Mailata's presence there at Jeff Stoutland University. And there's some great quotes we got from Jeff Stoutland. Phil spotted him sitting there ready to be talked to on
share some wisdom.
Share some wisdom. You can catch those across espn.com.au and ESPN socials. But their strengths are so overwhelming. And we didn't even touch on Saquon Barkley behind that offensive line and AJ Brown and Devontae Smith. Dallas got it. That it is easy to really look at it on paper and go, just how narrow a margin of victory, or how narrow of margin do the Chiefs actually have the path to get towards a victory against this type of squad? And as I was thinking about that, I'm like, I remember some of the lazy analysis that existed before, and I'm sorry to bring this up, the Broncos-Seahawks game.
Yeah.
The Super Bowl so many years ago.
48.
Where a lot of people just said, but it's Peyton Manning against Russell Wilson. It's experience against youth. Like, you just got to go with Peyton Manning. And that was really, and I was like, could you be caught falling into something like that with the Chiefs and their pedigree? Mm-hmm. But there is a difference, and I was tossing that thought around, and the difference is coaching. Mm-hmm. Because I think the coaching advantage lies massively with the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah.
Andy Reid. Who's that guy that runs defense? Steve Spagnuolo?
Heard of him.
He's mucked around a couple of Hall of Fame quarterbacks. Go ask Tom Brady how he did in the Super Bowl against the Spags defense.
Yeah. I was going to say the Giants back then, and now the Chiefs' recent run.
So it's that coaching side of things and that preparation side of things and game plan side of things and key downs and distances, decisive moments in the game. Who's going to have the right call ready, the right play schemed up? And that's where I veer away from going, I don't want to be lazy about this and just go towards the Chiefs because, yes, they're overwhelmed on paper, but we know they have quote-unquote championship pedigree, but beneath that championship pedigree is a coaching advantage. So I am actually going to go with the Kansas City Chiefs. Yeah. Really close. The last time these two teams play, I think you might not remember, but I called you. We were talking a week or so before the game, before I didn't fly up for that one. That was still during the post-COVID travel era, but I called you and said, I've got a very calm, clear prediction that the Chiefs are going to win this. And that was like a week and a half out. It was close. But nonetheless, I didn't have that this year. I think it's a far closer battle. Yeah. I think this Eagles team has game scripts that they can go towards that is just dominant. So, yeah, look, a little bit long-winded off the top there, but close one. But
it's going to inform a lot of the other picks we make. Now, you're talking close margins. The first time we've ever had 3 straight Super Bowls decided by 3 points or less. I don't want to over rely on history to say, historically Super Bowls are more lopsided, but not every football game comes down to 3 points. And there's an interesting tri-margin bet available on tab, as all of these markets are, 1 to 7 points. Mm-hmm. For either team to win by 1 to 7 points pays $1.95, which that number to me is alarming because almost every pundit you see when they tip a score, they don't want to be caught out, right? They don't want to say, Chiefs by 14 and then the Eagles win. So they're saying, it's going to be a close game. It's a kind of hedging their bets. But the market's saying that more likely than not, they're pricing this as either team is going to win by 8 or more points. We know Kansas City's won 17 straight one-score games, which 8 points would qualify for that. But that piqued my interest, so might be worth a little sprinkle. Well, if you're on Laz's side and you think the Chiefs are going to win, to take that tri-market, Chiefs to win by 8 or more, I believe that's $3.30. And again, all of these markets are as of Sunday morning, 10 a.m. Sydney, Melbourne time. Philly, my tip, but to win by 8 or more, $3.80. I might have a little sprinkle on that. I love that figure. A
little sprinkling of powdered sugar on your beignet?
Yes, exactly. Not that I'm picking Philly to win this thing by 20 points per se, but a 30-20 game is by no means a blowout. And statistically speaking, it's very much on the table, better than the valuation of a $3.80 price.
I know that these teams, you have to treat these teams as they are, right? Just because a game is played in a certain city or a certain month doesn't really mean anything.
Right.
But there is an interesting factor. This is the
Go ahead.
This is the 11th Super Bowl held in New Orleans. They tie Miami with that mark now, as of the game tomorrow.
Miami, South Florida, Miami
Sure.
Gardens. It's moved around.
There you go. The average margin of victory in the previous 10 contests is 17.6 points.
Okay.
It's a three-score city.
So you can't really see this, but we have some banners behind us, and above our head we have very cool artwork of all Super Bowls past year. Super Bowl 31 was in New Orleans. That was the Desmond Howard kickoff return. Des had like 200 yards return. What relevance does that game have to this one? What relevance does the Adam Vinatieri field goal to lift Tom Brady to his first Super Bowl title?
This is a very flavorsome, spicy city, and maybe that just adds a little spice to the scoreline.
Super Bowl 5, I think, was here. We had like 9 turnovers.
I'm just presenting a little interesting history and context from the man who loves history
and numbers.
And
I love stats. But sometimes, this city is known for its it's good times. Laissez les bons temps rouler. Let the good times roll.
Okay, you could have just said some sort of French dish for all I know, but go on.
I may have. Sometimes stats in sports are like a lamppost to a drunkard.
Here we go.
They're more for support than enlightenment. And I'm just pointing out, there's no relevance to what games at Tulane Stadium outdoors in the 1970s.
Shots fired at Tulane.
Well, the Chiefs took their team picture there.
All right. Shall we move on after I've completely rocked and rattled you, which is my plan to claw back from the 22
you want to talk back
deficit.
Callbacks and getting rattled.
Really?
If you need to beat an Aussie in a high-stakes competition,
this is tough.
Where do you turn other than Eden Park?
It's so much worse in person, guys. It's so much worse in person.
Had we were going to have a special guest, and he and I had arranged to have him wear this shirt and sneak up on you. But this is history. This is the third time I believe I've utilized this shirt. In the last 2, you want to start talking about who's going to win because of jersey colors they wear. When I wear all black for our Propular Demand Novelty special, I'm 2-0.
Yeah. I think you can go with the collar on that one, but did you just want to match my color scheme? Is that what this is about? Imitations, flattery.
I had my suit from our Today Show hit. And,
okay.
This is snug.
Right. Go on. So we've gone from our picks.
We've gone from our picks, but we're also going. Do you have any total, please?
Yes, I do.
Okay,
I do. So
I have one.
The total number is presently
48.5 for all 4 quarters.
That's right. Yes, I'm going with the under. I don't see this as a repeat of the last contest, which had
73.
We're not going to get up into, I don't know the proper Latin word for stuff in the 70s. I know octogenarian, but I don't know what people.
Septuagenarian.
There you go. Didn't know it. We can do it in Japanese if you'd like, but I don't think we're going to get.
Nihongo o hanashimasu ka?
That was actually correct, guys. Unlike my picks. All right, going forward. Under 48.5 points. I think this Kansas City Chiefs isn't the strongest defense we've seen out of Kansas City in the last couple of years, but they do some things particularly well. They're a slightly above average run defense. Yeah. What they really do well is contain big chunk game plays. Yes. They're ranked 6th in limiting explosive runs, which you're going to need against Saquon Barkley.
Yeah. And which the Bengals did in that game. Saquon didn't have a carry longer than 19 yards, but still went 22 for 108.
So this is what on that side of the ball, then you throw in the pass rush capability when they do get in there. I think there's a defensive strong point there. And look, the Eagles, for total defense, if you're into the old school metrics, they do rank first this season, but they've been very competent against the pass. They're
number 1 in defensive efficiency too.
Absolutely, and they do marry the new age and the old school metrics. And look, they're a very good tackling team. They're a very willing tackling team throughout the roster. That flows into the secondary where you get plenty of physicality. It's not just the Cooper DeJean hit on Derrick Henry. There's plenty other examples of that. So I see defense having a little more to say in this contest. Look, there's always going to be huge chucks into the end zone that double coverage may fall over themselves and may land in someone like AJ Brown's hands as a callback to the last Super Bowl between these two teams. But yeah, I see this one going under. Look, 48.5 is a solidly high line. Like if you've got two teams scoring in the 20s, I don't think you look at it as a low scoring game.
No.
So give me the under on that one. I think there's maybe just a little bit of fond memories to the last time these two played on the championship stage.
The number scares me. It's 30-20 is on the table, and that's over. I'm not. For me, it's a no play for the game, but I like the second half total under 24.5. It only pays $1.68, which leads me to believe the fine folks setting that line at Tab agree with my thinking there. It's not a huge payout, but I think there's a lot of rationale behind it. Functionally, to beat 24, it's 3 touchdowns, multiple field goals, or 4 touchdowns. I don't see that happening in the second half, and numbers this season tell that tale as well. Chiefs away from Arrowhead, second half unders are 7-2. Only 2 exceptions were their come from behind win over Carolina, which again they were chasing a score, and San Francisco that game, and that barely went over. But if you're looking for real value, because again $1.68, I'm playing the $1.68. I'm not playing this multi, but if you're in line with the thinking, especially backing Philly, or backing Philly to close the gap, even if you like Chiefs straight up, you can do a second half multi. Eagles plus 1.5. So even if they're level on scoring, and that under 24.5 pays $3.40. Eagles against the spread in the second half this season, 15-4-1. That's tied for the best in the NFL. Kansas City was actually more modest in the second half against the spread, and away from Arrowhead, they were just 4-3-2. If you like Philly just with that second half line, that +1, it pays $1.80. But I'm marrying the two things there: the trends of Kansas City being a second half under team and Philly being a strong second half team against the spread. $3.40 is excellent value for that.
Okay, moving from, we're going to get into some of the more fine-tuned props as we go, but the last big market here, and it feels a bit silly for me to weigh in on this one because if I'm leaning towards the Kansas City Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes is a $2.10 favorite. Could Travis Kelce have a massive game? Sure, but if he has a massive game, Patrick Mahomes has a massive game. And so it goes. We've been on here and talked about someone like Chris Jones before. Yeah. Nick Bolton gave it a really good run last time these two teams play. I think he was very close to being in consideration. He might have been the best player at his position on the park that day. Yeah. Against the Eagles. So
changed the game. That scoop and score.
And almost had a second.
Yeah.
Almost created that second turnover, which was just a forward pass, I believe, out into the flat. If memory serves correct. So for this one, look, it's tough for someone who's looking at the Kansas City Chiefs. I think the more to win. I think the more interesting one is asking you here because you are leaning towards the Eagles. Yeah. This is one of the few Super Bowls where the top 2 names on the Super Bowl list, the top 2 favorites, are not QB. Saquon Barkley is presently $3.75. Jalen Hurts is third at $4.50. Is there any value? Do you look towards that's a bit extra juice for the Super Bowl winning quarterback? Even though we know Saquon Barkley's been the engine that drives this thing, certainly outside of the offensive line on offense. But is there any way you think that, yes, that might be the case, but man, when we get to Super Bowls, that those 2 letters, Q and B, just seem to overwhelm everything?
They do matter. I remember the first Chiefs Super Bowl win. You and I were there in Miami. Damian Williams had a good case to win MVP of that game, and he didn't.
I think Sammy Watkins had a really good case in that game too.
But that's because of the Mahomes effect. With the Eagles, it is a Barkley effect. And so I think the inherent bias towards voters, if it's close, if Saquon is in triple digits, even low triple digits, and finds the end zone, and say it's a low-scoring game, so your total hits, but say it's a 21-17 Eagles win, I think barring multiple defensive touchdowns or something, it's going to be Saquon's award. At $3.75, that's not bad.
No.
If you're looking for something a little longer, the last 8 Super Bowl MVPs have been quarterbacks and wide receivers. Yeah. So you start going to, not since Chuck Howley's Super Bowl 5 has a losing team representative won MVP. It's not going to happen this year.
Dallas.
That was an ugly game. A.J. Brown at $26, Devontae Smith at $34. I actually don't hate that. Devontae Smith was more than capable at Super Bowl 57. That Eagles loss. He had 7 catches, 100 yards, 9 targets. He had 8 regular season touchdowns. Smith has a propensity to shine in these big games. He was terrific in the College Football National Championship. Obviously, was excellent in that Super Bowl loss. if he can beat the Chiefs over the top and that deep ball doesn't go A.J. Brown's way, if Devontae Smith has one of these double-digit catch type games, finds the end zone, $34 isn't terrible. You're looking at 33 to 1. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I think there is value with a little sprinkle on that.
Okay, good to know.
I'm not playing any MVP markets.
No, look, I think the way that this game is set up and the way the narratives are tied, I think it does feel a little constricted. But good to get the conversation out of the way.
Yeah.
It's good to lay out how we see this game going, because it's going to educate and inform the way the rest of this goes.
And if somebody's leaning that way and we're tipping it, even if I'm not tipping it, if there is any kind of affirmation and that's the way we're going, then excellent.
Okay, moving forward. Let's get into some of the more positional relevant props. Yeah. And we may as well start with that quarterback position. So we're each going to provide a prop that we absolutely love. Knowing Phil and knowing the research that he does, he may sprinkle in some other just little tidbits along the way to giving what the actual prop is.
Yeah. Why not?
I know you. So let's start with the quarterback.
Does my system not work, Loss?
I mean, the scoreboard says what the scoreboard says.
The eye in the sky don't lie. All right.
Quarterback position. Is there a particular prop that is jumping out to you? Well, I know there is.
Yes. Patrick Mahomes over 36.5 pass attempts at $2.15. Plus odds, as us kids say here stateside. If you look at the playoff run for the Chiefs, he hasn't come close to this figure, but that's also a byproduct of them playing outside at Arrowhead in the cold, in the wind. I was there for one of them. It's just a miserable throwing experience. And the Texans, not for nothing, they sacked Patrick Mahomes how many times on would-be pass attempts? Go back to the regular season. Again, this game's going to be played in a dome. It'll be room temperature, lovely, 24, 25 degrees?
It's been charming here this week.
Excellent. Today was maybe even a little warm. Maybe just turn it down just a little. Patrick Mahomes in the regular season went over this 36.5 pass attempt number. 6 straight games, went over it in 9 of the last 10. And my game script, I'm tipping the Eagles to win, and I don't hate the idea of the Eagles winning by 7 to 13 points. That means a lot of second half pass attempts for Patrick Mahomes. And the Chiefs, by and large, when they're at their best, it's not run to set up the pass, it's pass to set up the whole offense. Patrick Mahomes throws short of the sticks on first and second down. 72% of his pass attempts, second highest rate in the NFL. So I think those little, quick outs, quick passes, little dump downs, planned long handoffs will help this figure hit. It's a long sweat because it's a big number and it's got to hit over 4 quarters. So if the Eagles go on a long sustained scoring drive, it kind of suffocates your ability to hit that number. But I think at those odds, given what we've seen from the Chiefs for the lion's share of the season, I think there's excellent value in that number at $2.15.
Yeah, look, your view here and your quarterback prop plays very nicely into what I'm saying and what I'm looking at here. Quick hitting passing from Patrick Mahomes, getting the ball out of his hand. There is some, I feel bad for the guy, but Mike Caliendo has become a name very well known to a lot of analysts because he appears to be a link.
You're on his Wikipedia page right now.
I certainly am. He appears to be a link that dominant interior pass rush from the Philadelphia Eagles can get after.
Yeah, Joe Thuney can only play one position. You kick him out to left tackle, you're giving him up at left guard.
How they'd love to clone him and put one at left guard and one at left tackle. So look, I think we're going to see Patrick Mahomes get the ball out of his hand early. I don't think there's going to be a great deal. I think the Kareem Hunt experience is going to have to build up throughout a game. Yes. I don't know that it's going to be a lot of easy gains there and Kareem Hunt barreling through tackles, as he's done at a better rate this season than he has in the last couple of years. So I'm looking at Patrick Mahomes, his first completion under 7.5 yards. It's currently, there's a little niceness there at $1.95. It's
okay.
The narrow underdog in that market there. So under 7.5 yards, a little quick hitter. Whether that is a little swing pass out to a running back leaking out, although I do think the running backs could be on blitz pickup and clog up, just wad up the middle of the line duty a little in this one for the Chiefs early on. But it may be a quick wide receiver screen, a quick hitter to Kelsey. Something to just get the ball moving, and we see ourselves in 2nd and 5 or 3rd and 5 if they don't complete on first down. But as you mentioned, passing on those early downs factors in here. So first completion for Patrick Mahomes under 7.5 yards, $1.95.
Okay, so agreement there with game script. Laws, what about a rushing prop that you have?
Okay, when I am looking at our rushing props in this contest, I'm going to stay on the Kansas City Chiefs side of things. I was looking at Xavier Worthy, over 10.5 yards total rushing, which was intriguing to me. But I am going to go with, I mentioned Kareem Hunt's name, And now I'm going to mention Isaiah Pacheco's game. I don't think he's anywhere close to healthy and back to his best. We've seen his production not trend in a positive direction.
I was on the field against Houston, and it was a few weeks ago. He did not look fully healthy. I think it's going to be one of these things. He's not himself until the other side of the offseason.
Absolutely. So his total rushing right now is the total rushing number is 6.5, and I'm taking the under on that. I think it's not going to be a heavy. I don't see this being a heavy Chiefs ground game early on. We'll see if they get into a positive game script and want to turn towards something, and in which case I would expect we might see a bit of Kareem Hunt. So Kareem Hunt has been the better running back, as they've both been in the picture, as Pacheco has gotten back out there.
They say.
Yes. So 6.5 rushing attempts. You're getting that one currently at $1.75 on the under there. So it is the favorite. That is the way the money seems to be looking. But yeah, I see this one as certainly more of Patrick Mahomes an aerial game. And in the run game, I expect some diversity. I expect some Xavier Worthy being worked into it, maybe Hollywood Brown being worked into it. And when they do turn to your traditional tailback, I don't expect it to be Pacheco. I see Kareem Hunt getting more of the carries.
Okay, I'm going to look at the Eagles for my rushing prop. And initially, I was going to go Jalen Hurts. That zone read is such a threatening thing for Philadelphia. And I think in that first half against Washington in the NFC Championship game, when things were still close and competitive, Hurts was erring on the side almost exclusively of handing the ball off to Saquon Barkley. Not just because the first rushing attempt went 60 yards to the casita, but also because I think Hurts' knee, which was a bit of a question coming in, wasn't fully right. We're 2 weeks removed. So in my head, I'm thinking, would the wise thing for Kellen Moore in this offense to do to tell Hurts early in the game to allow the Chiefs to crash down on Barkley, keep himself a very capable runner, and take those 5, 6, 7-yard plays, those positive success rate plays on early downs, and create second and short situations? Yes, all of it, except the bookmakers agreed. Because I'm looking at Hurts props, and this number's kind of fluctuated between 8.5 and 9.5 carries. Numbers he hasn't hit in some time. Yeah, I think there was some wellness situation there. Tipping the Chiefs, you get kneel downs at the end. Sorry, tipping the Eagles, you get kneel downs at the end.
Let's not talk about QB kneel downs when you're tipping a team to win. Josh Allen still hurts.
Yeah, and that should hurt. But that's actually part of the reason I'm staying away from it. The numbers come down to 8.5, and the over 8.5 pays $1.60. The market I like for running the ball is actually still $1.60 payout, but I just love the market. It's just fun. In the what are the odds section, you were flirting. I didn't show you this one, that I like this one, but you were toying with it and talking about it in our pre-show prep. What are the odds? Tush push over 3.5 tush pushes pays $1.60. If it's 3rd and 1, we're getting a tush push. And if the Chiefs stop them, we're getting another tush push.
Correct.
We need 1 tush push on average per quarter. In Super Bowl 57, the Eagles attempted 6 and completed 6. And had they failed, they would have been 6 for 8 or 6 for 9. So the Chiefs, Jeff Saturday did a terrific job on the blitz of dissecting the difference in the tush push run by Josh Allen and the Bills, against which the Chiefs had success, vis-a-vis what the Eagles run, why the Eagles version of it is so much more successful. But I think we're getting more than 3.5 push sneaks, tush pushes, brotherly shoves at $1.60.
Okay, follow-up to this. There's not a market for it, but let's just throw this one out there into the ether. If someone's going to play the Frankie Louvu role and just go full Jeff Hardy over the top of the line, which Chiefs linebacker or DB is that going to be? You think this is time for Cook?
Well, I don't think it. Nick Bolton is a very high IQ player. He's speed, and it's not his body type either. Drew Tranquill also rangy. I don't see it. Brian Cook, when his game tape at Cincinnati when he was coming out, it was just he can crack, and he's just somebody who is tackles and throws his body around with reckless abandon. That's why I went him for.
Yeah, I looked at someone like Leo Chenal, and how his.
I looked at somebody. You've thought about this.
I think he has a requisite mentality and physicality.
Okay.
But I don't know that leaping over the line with aerial grace is what I'd expect.
Nope.
Far better athlete than me. But I think Cook fits the parameters.
Yeah, but Louvu didn't do it with the grace of a Troy Polamalu or turning the clock back further, LeVar Arrington.
Ooh.
The LeVar leap when he was at Penn State against Illinois is what started all of this.
That's nice for you to get a little historical throw in there. Just a little flex.
Linebacker, baby.
All right, we've gone from quarterback to rushing. Now it's time for receiving.
Yeah.
Philip, when we're looking at the receiving market.
I'm staying in the what are the odds section.
Okay,
I was telling you
this.
I was like, I didn't know what it was. And
Shout
I
out
clicked
to
on
our
it.
friends at Tab who have the what are the odds
These
section.
are such fun markets to go through because they cover so much and they have them split by passing, rushing, and all that. You can get, really long odds on things. This one, I love the price for it. I'm not one to do anytime touchdowns. But if you give me 2 bites at the apple for the anytime touchdown, 1 on each team, your boy likes it.
Okay.
What are the odds?
Mhm.
Either anytime touchdown, Devontae Smith, Xavier Worthy, $1.80.
Oh, I like that.
That market here in Louisiana, stateside, these sports books, $1.65.
Ooh, this is value.
So, $1.80, get it while you can.
Mhm.
And it's a few reasons. Super Bowl 57, I mentioned Devontae Smith, 7 catches, bang on 100 yards, 9 targets. He had 8 touchdowns in the regular season. He's somebody who can take the top off the defense. So if the Chiefs start to crash down, play action, RPO is there. We know he can catch it in the slot, go vertical, do all that damage.
All the
But
rest.
Xavier Worthy is the one that really intrigues me with this. We saw him from his first pro game against the Ravens. Rushing touchdown and a receiving touchdown. They love him in that little orbit motion or a jet sweep. Get the fastest man ever to run a 40 at the combine running forward and let him raise some hell. He had 6 receiving touchdowns in the regular season, 3 rushing touchdowns, and in 2 playoff games, Laws, 11 catches, 130 yards, 13 targets and a score. We're talking a lot about Travis Kelce and obviously Patrick Mahomes. Xavier Worthy is playing grown man football here in January into February. Either of those guys to find the end zone once at $1.80, that might be my favorite bet of all of them I'm given today.
Okay, well, you're going with shiny first-round talents.
I need to reach out to Sam Bruce to place that bet on tab. Get me a lobster and a
I
pineapple.
just got an Instagram notification from Sam Bruce, so he's awake, so you can text him now.
Thought he'd be at a UFC fight or something.
Okay, moving forward. Well, maybe that's why he is awake, and that's why he's texting, because he is at UFC 312 in Sydney. Okay, back to the task at hand. You've gone for some shiny first-round picks.
I have. A Heisman winner? Yeah. Hey.
I am going to go for a position group in Kansas City that has had all the attention of the world in sport and entertainment, the tight end position in Kansas City.
You like yourself a tight end.
Noah Gray, 2 receptions or more at $2.05. Beyond $2.
Oh, gosh.
$2.05.
Fantastic.
Noah Gray.
Wow, what a great number.
What did he do?
Why would you give that nice man the kiss of death by backing him?
Last time against the Buffalo Bills, hold on. Let me check the math. 0 targets, 0 receptions. But previously against the Houston Texans, 3 for 3.
Yeah.
Targets on receptions. Look, this is a team with.
Or you're going Dallas Goedert here.
I was thinking, but Dallas Goedert. The word is out on Dallas Goedert. How important he is to that Eagles offense, and how good they look,
and how good tight ends have been against the Chiefs all year.
So I do think that. Let's talk about linebackers. I do think you can get after the Eagles linebackers through the air.
Mm-hmm.
I think Zach Bourne is better when you're dictating to him where he needs to go in coverage.
You're setting up a beautiful segue to my defensive and special teams tip, by the way.
There we go. But Noah Gray, for me, that middle of the field is where I think we've seen Patrick Mahomes look early and often against the Vic Fangio defense, and the type of coverages, a defense that, again, you're very familiar with. But the type of looks that you're going to get from a Vic Fangio does lend itself to there's going to be spots in the middle of the field to target. I looked at Juju Smith-Schuster here, who I think the words Juju Smith-Schuster, Super Bowl, and Eagles don't go very well. Eagles fans were not very happy with the James Bradbury, little hips don't lie. Yeah, little
tug on the cape.
There it was. So I did look at Juju, again, in that similar part of the field where Juju has done work over his career, but I like Noah Gray here. 2 receptions or more. It's not over 2.5. 2 receptions or more at $2.05.
It's fantastic. It's a great number.
You're just wondering why I've cursed it.
Yeah, I feel terrible for Noah, just how things have gone. minus 14 units on the year. It's rough. But
all I can do is try. Okay?
You can, and it's a good. There are 500 markets if you look at 470 something for the game, and then all sorts of novelties, which we'll get to.
Mm-hmm.
So that one is top tier.
Okay, time to go defense and special teams, Phil.
I'm going to go with the guy who finished 5th in Defensive Player of the Year voting.
Oh,
wow! How about that? Somebody who couldn't find the field when he was playing here by the team that drafted him in New Orleans, goes to Philadelphia. Year 1, starts every game, and again finished 5th in DPOY. Zach Bond, under 10.5 tackles and assists at $1.85. He's been under that in 5 of the last 6 games. it's just trending that way. I do think Mahomes will kind of have those passes over the middle, but mostly to set things up on the outside. I think the corners and safeties of Philly and their nickel defense are going to have a more prolific tackling day. I think Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell will be very busy bees, as will C.J. Gardner-Johnson, who a lot of people kind of like him as an outside shout for MVP or defensive touchdown props and craziness like that. But Zach Bond under 10.5 sacks, $1.85, under 5 times in the last 6. Don't overthink it. Go with it.
Okay, this one coming up, I may have hinted at it before. This is the value. The value here, I think, is outrageous. Milton Williams.
Yeah, you may have hinted at it before.
I did hint at it before. Milton Williams, when he does get the Mike Caliendo matchup. Milton Williams over 2.5 sacks. So a half a sack gets you there at $3.30.
Yeah, when I told you that number, you about jumped out of your chair.
Absolutely. I almost ran back home to put a bet on myself, but then I just remembered that
we have Brucey.
Yeah, we do. Hi, Brucey. So yeah, look, I think this is a matchup that the Kansas City Chiefs are going. It'd be interesting to see what their plan is to mitigate what appears to be a heavily outweighed matchup towards the Philadelphia Eagles and that interior pressure, the interior talent they do have up front. Milton Williams on his way to $20+ million a year in free agency, likely. But Milton Williams, as far as I'm concerned, this week over 0.25 sacks.
Yeah, half a sack or more.
Half a sack or more to register that at $3.30. I love the value there. So keep an eye out for Big Milton in the middle of that Eagles front.
I like it. That's all our game picks, right? Now we
from here, when we're looking at player specific stuff. Now, are there any gameplay? Whether that is quarters, we touched on quarters early. I do have a special teams one.
Okay.
That I don't mind throwing out.
My only gameplay one is that second half under one I said earlier.
Yes.
Eagles under 24 or not. That multi would be $3.40. Second half under 24.5 points at $1.68.
I'm going to go here. I've got a little field goal market here. Look, my trust factor in both these kickers, particularly from distance, is not high. Jake Elliott and Harrison Butker, who Butker hasn't looked right since this kneel-down technique has seemingly worked its way into his kicking style. Didn't appear to be part of it for a long time. I know Jake Elliott did hit a long one last time out to kind of just ease.
And we are indoors.
Concerns.
We're not at Tulane Stadium anymore. We're at the Superdome.
You're loving throwing Tulane Stadium at me. But I've got the longest field goal under 47.5 yards at $1.87. That's even either side of that. I don't have a lot of trust in the long distance efforts of either of these kickers who have been elite at the peak of their powers. I don't think either, whether from a health standpoint or just a form standpoint, are truly at the peak. So I'm going to take the under on that one.
I worry on games in which I pick the under.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, it's because I think we're getting field goals, not touchdowns.
Mm.
And indoors, room temperature, a 48-yard field goal is not terribly long.
It's not, but also
I might be going.
But I also I think about the teams that we have at hand here.
Yeah.
One has Patrick Mahomes, and we saw the short yardage designs in full show against the Bills.
Yeah.
And how they were able to convert and go for certain things and put themselves in great clean looks.
Yeah.
And they needed to pick up a big first down with a couple of yards to go. And the other side is the Philadelphia Eagles. And if they see anything less than 3rd and 5, they're ready to. Or if they see 3rd and 5 or less, really, they're ready to go run.
Yeah.
And pick this thing up and leave the special teams on the sides.
Yeah, and if your bet were to be compromised, it would be in a situation in which Mahomes gets sacked on 3rd down to turn a 3rd and 7 into a 4th and 13, and now we're trotting out Butker for 49-yarder. That's the worry.
The other worry is that it's my pick. That would be.
I wasn't going to say it.
All right. Time to take a step in towards the more fanciful part of the evening.
Yeah,
Phil.
I mean, we're 38 minutes down, and we are done talking actual football.
Are we?
But
for today,
this is the marriage of sport and spectacle.
It certainly
the
is.
Super Bowl. Lots of spectacle, especially with the world's greatest pop star at the moment in attendance, and a guy who went 5 for 5 at the Grammys on the mic at halftime, Kendrick Lamar.
Certainly is.
All the coverage starts Monday morning at 9 a.m. on ESPN. All right, last novelties. What do we like?
Let's start with that man, Kendrick Lamar, the halftime show. First song.
Sure, you're starting halftime, not anthem?
Actually, that makes complete.
Let's go chronological order.
Yeah, let's go in chronological. Let's reel it back to the anthem where I have more confidence
Like
of years past.
before Wallabies and All Blacks, we got a haka. The haka first, and then the dominance.
Haka references on the eve of the Super Bowl. You can tell it's been a very, very strong, long week here. A great week in New Orleans. Okay, let's go to the anthem. Let's start with the anthem. Okay, the current line with Tab is 120 and a half seconds, so 2 minutes and half a second.
We had dispute last year. You and I on the stopwatch. Did not see eye to eye.
No, that was very close. Now, on the anthem. Here in the States, it's the line I've actually seen a couple seconds higher than we do.
122.
Yeah, which is really interesting. And I think we're seeing this narrow. I think there was a period there in the mid-2010s where folks were going over 2 minutes ad nauseum. Yeah. The over was having a rich day. Shout out Lady Gaga and just repeating multiple lines and all sorts of things that came into it.
Home of the
Now, John Batiste.
Yes.
A very interesting musician. Yeah. There's classical and operatic elements. There's more contemporary styles. He's versatile.
You can get him to play a piano during the anthem at $1.10.
Yeah, the piano
That's a layup. If you need a win, you need a win.
The other win.
Put a tenner on that and collect 11.
The other win is the will a player or coach cry during the anthem, which is incredibly short odds, and that is the Chris Jones Nick Sirianni bet, because one of those two guys, probably both of them, is going to let the tears
No Sean
flow.
Moreno somewhere is going to cry like a robot and shoot out the red out of tear ducts.
On the anthem, yes, at 120 and a half seconds, I think the ability with certainly one instrument with the piano, there's a chance for multiple instruments with Batiste. I don't think it's going to be crazily far away from the line. I feel like it's getting tighter and tighter. But I'm going to take the over on that. I've timed him at the 2017 NBA All-Star game. I have him at 2 minutes and 1 second, which is half a second more than you need. Again, this line is right on it. Yeah. I will just say, and just something and this is straight off tab, so this is something to just be wary of, or to be aware of, I should say, when you're playing this bet. This is the notes that go here. Paid from the first note played, instrument or voice, to the last note, instrument or voice of the Star Spangled Banner.
It is a banger.
Star Spangled Banger. The Star Spangled Banner, U.S. national anthem, sung by John Batiste. And that's why I do lean towards the over as well, just with his ability with the piano. Maybe we get a little prelude, a little roll into it, and maybe we do get those final couple of keys once the anthem is done. So there's just some variables there, but I think this one's going to be tight. I don't think we're going to see this at 2 minutes and 35 seconds.
No.
And I don't think he's going to be challenging, I believe, Neil Diamond for the record at something like 62 and a half seconds. Neil had a plane to catch, or his pizza was ready. I know it was pre-Uber Eats when that was happening, but maybe the pizza guy was outside.
To your point, even the anthem production, there's a flyover. This is not improvised. There will be a measure of precision with this number. It's why when the number started at 122, a lot of sharp money came in on the under. I think 120 and a half, to your point, at $1.72 on the over might be a little bit of an overcorrection. I'm staying away. A bet I will make, though, on the anthem, Taylor Swift to be shown during the anthem, no at $1.65.
No Taylor.
No, you can get her $2.10 if you want to fade that. And I understand the temptation. However, there's been a lot of criticism lately about anthem protocol. The word's escaping me, but just maybe being a little too cavalier with our anthem productions writ large in American TV. So I don't think we're going to be getting celebrity shots, especially ones that people are anticipating, like a Taylor Swift. If we get any, I think it's going to be players, flag, artist, military, police, stadium shot. I think that's where we're stopping. So $1.65.
No other public figures that are in attendance that might get
perhaps the president, perhaps the U.S. president, Donald Trump, will be there. But yes, like people of that ilk.
You think you just say it's time? The anthem's just going to anthem.
Anthem's going to anthem at $1.65. Okay. I feel much better than that than I do going under. If you had to make me pick, I would go under the 120 and a half, and I would be quick on the trigger on my stopwatch, as I may have been last year at Allegiant Stadium.
As he was. Me and Phil were separated, just to let you guys know. We were separated by a couple of bays, but on the same level, and we were looking at each other, trash talking without saying any,
with
making
our
any
iPhone
sounds.
Apps and just the clock running.
Holding phones at each other, pointing.
Because it was a spirited debate last year.
It really was.
House divided.
Yeah, I'm still not settled on it. Okay, let's go to halftime now. First song, that man Kendrick Lamar. Big moment. Lots of celebrities and lots of...
Before we get to halftime.
No, we can't get to halftime. He's never going to let me get to halftime.
Only because I'm not very confident in my halftime plays. But which commentator will first mention Taylor Swift? On the call, stateside. Again, on the call for Australia, it's Chris Fowler, it's Lewis Riddick, it's Dan Orlovsky, our terrific team. But Tom Brady at $1.70 versus Kevin Burkhardt at $2. I'm going Brady at $1.70.
Yeah, I think I'm going Brady as well.
I feel very confident in that. Burkhardt is he's a very professional guy, but Tom is going to be the one to try and bridge cultural gaps there. So I say at $1.70 is a great price for that.
Yes, I mean, Tom Brady, his impact on culture, and he was an UGG boot representative for a long time.
Anybody who's watching that broadcast will have to let us know, because we are going to be locked into Fowler and Riddick and Dan Orlovsky. Of our three, who do you think is going to mention Taylor Swift first?
Out of Fowler, Orlovsky, and Riddick,
I think it's going to be a crowd shot, and Fowler will have to acknowledge it.
I think it's Fowler. I can't see.
Certainly not Lou.
No, I feel like Louis Riddick will be locked in on the semantics.
He's about $7 on this market if we were to establish the number.
Yeah. Orlovsky a chance, but I think it's a Fowler recognition. Yeah. I think it's the awareness from the centerpiece there.
All right, now go to halftime.
All right, now we're at halftime. Look, this is one I have not been overwhelmingly successful. I've often looked for value here. I've often look at an outside shot. There is a short price favorite. Bodies is $1.65 presently
for first song.
For first song at halftime, performance by Kendrick Lamar, of course. But I'm going to go just one step down, and I'm going with Humble. I just think the opening keys and just the energy of that song right off the bat at $2.50. I'm trying not to overthink this and galaxy brand it like I may have done in previous editions of the Super Bowl, previous editions of the Propular Demand Novelty Extravaganza special.
We both whiffed hard on the weekend. That was rough.
And I didn't love that halftime show in general.
It was a weird Super Bowl. We had cardboard cutouts all around us. It was odd.
Yeah, we were in a place. All right.
I have three plays.
You disagree.
I have 3 plays.
Okay, but you disagree with my one because you were shaking your head like a disapproving father or brother or...
I'm going Squabble Up. Just the a cappella open. Ooh, you think the lights come down, boom, and then you hear the voice first.
I love that thinking.
$2.80 for Squabble Up.
Unfortunately, that's the type of thinking that, like, what's going to be a cinematic stadium entrance?
Yep.
Like, I've done that before and been let down. But I love the thinking. It's where my heart wants to go, but I'm trying to go against my inner thinkings of what I do.
And I couldn't multi this. I would have loved to. Mm-hmm. Kendrick Lamar to wear a hoodie, yes, at $1.75.
Oh yeah, I like
because he wears the hoodie in the Squad Love video. Okay. He's got the blue hoodie on. So I feel better about the hoodie at $1.75 than I do Squabble Up at $2.80. You made me make that pick. What about this one? Guest rapper with all the guest appearance. I kind of gave up my tip.
Yes.
Guest appearance. There's a whole list. Kendrick Lamar very famously diss tracked on Drake. Little bit of a shot fired at Lil Wayne in a recent song as well. Lil Wayne, New Orleans' zone, and there were a lot of people who were disappointed Lil Wayne wasn't doing the halftime show here. The Carter 6 was announced this week.
Yeah.
Lil Wayne at $4 to make a guest appearance, and kind of an olive branch between the stars.
I'd love to see that. Look, Lil Wayne, I think there was some Super Bowl halftime performances that have been almost written in pen for the city that they were in. Unfortunately and tragically, I think we all expected that we might get Prince in Minneapolis so long ago, but tragically we did not get that opportunity. There was an homage to Prince from Justin Timberlake's performance in Minnesota, but that was certainly one that we had looked at and gone, city and artist makes so much sense. And not to mention that Prince, if anybody had deserved to do another Super Bowl halftime show, it would have been that man.
Phenomenal.
With what he did in Miami, I believe, when it was raining
in the rain with the guitar.
In glass platforms on a stage in the shape of his symbol.
Is that your footwear of choice for the game tomorrow?
You'll have to wait and see. You know that whatever it'll be paired with a lovely cardigan. I do have a couple of summery cardigans here. So I...
didn't know that was a thing.
And the other one was, people had looked at New Orleans and said, that's going to be Wheezy. That'll be Lil Wayne. Unfortunately, look, Kendrick Lamar. It's not unfortunately we get Kendrick Lamar. Absolutely stoked to see Kendrick Lamar.
And is at the peak of his powers.
Absolutely.
Nominated for 5 Grammys, won 5 Grammys.
Whereas Lil Wayne is perhaps past the peak of his chart-topping time. Still incredibly relevant.
Yeah, but the Carter 3 was so iconic. And now we have the Carter 6th announced for June 6th. Announced this week.
He's in his revered legend part of the career.
That's why I think guest appearance, $4.
Yeah,
$4.
I like it.
I like that better than your Milton Williams sack pick.
Here I am agreeing with him. We're having a lovely moment.
I didn't disagree with your Milton Williams.
Third show of the week. We've done so many things.
I'm not disagreeing. I'm not disagreeing with your tip. I'm saying that was $3.30, and we said, ooh, that's good value. This at $4, better payout, better value.
Okay. My feelings are hurt.
Any other novelties you're keen on?
Looking across, no, look, I think the one that I'm not a halftime. I'm not a halftime. See, now you've got halftime stuck in my. I'm not a big coin toss guy.
Nope.
I enjoy. That's the one thing I've beaten you in
It's
this
the most.
season.
It's the most wagered on. You've crushed me in coin tosses.
That's about it. So maybe I should be weighing.
And I think the
one
I didn't want to win, I won.
But no, outside of it, when it comes to Gatorade, again, this is one that I've been cold as icy Gatorade.
Yeah.
For
Lime,
many
green,
years.
and yellow are odds on at $1.50.
I think,
and that's moved. That to me is fishy.
$1.50.
That to me is fishy.
That's like they've only got that in there.
Well, that's the you hear some of these international broadcasters of the game calling to ask what's going to be distributed, so they can have graphics match, but it's really a punter who's looking for an inside track. That number has plummeted. It was
it's usually
north of $2.
Yeah, it's usually the
$1.50.
Yeah, that's pretty short.
Like that's very fishy to me.
I would like to know, speaking of fishy, your food taste or your drink taste. What is your favorite Gatorade flavor?
Or orange or purple.
Orange or purple?
Yeah.
I don't love when we get into purple and blue and stuff. It's not. I'm orange purist.
Yeah.
Orange Gatorade forever.
I think red's overrated.
I think red is firmly overrated. I don't mind the lemon lime. I don't mind that. Yeah, it's solid, particularly in the summer months. But orange Gatorade year round. Yeah. Phil,
I have one more.
You have one more. Of course you do.
Again, there are loads of these on tab.
Correct.
They're fun to just scroll through.
They're
more fun when you hit the bet button. Please gamble responsibly. Despite me about to give a Taylor Swift live shot tip. Taylor Swift live shots. Will we have more of them or Travis Kelce receptions? The Taylor Swift live shot is $1.60. Travis Kelce receptions $2.20. And if this is, I'm not saying it's Travis Kelce's swan song, but it's out there. His total for catches is 6.5. Her live shot total is 7.5. But her juice is on the over. His juice is on the under. So Taylor Swift live shots at $1.60. Because even if he's targeted and it's an incomplete pass, you're getting the cutaway. And if he catches it, you're getting the cutaway. So I think you're getting a Taylor Swift live shot at a couple moments during the game, touchdown or two, and then most Travis Kelce receptions and a couple targets on top of it. $1.60 there's automatic the more I think about it.
Okay. Well, I'll give you a Taylor Swift one just before we go.
Please gamble responsibly.
Right. Taylor Swift on the Taylor Swift novelty section. Whose touchdown is it really? Is Taylor Swift shown?
So good.
Is Taylor Swift shown after a Travis Kelce touchdown?
Without
over
question.
or under 5 seconds?
Oh, 5 seconds is an eternity.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. Let's count it. Okay, so I'll play it out. I'll play
right.
it out. If you've gone on, if you're following ESPN Australia, New Zealand socials, you can see my
give us your best Chris Fowler.
My high point execution, courtesy of your filming,
cinematography
parade today. So I'll reenact that, and then we'll count to 5 Mississippi.
I got the clock.
And we'll see how long that is.
And just imagine a clapping, happy, high-fiving person without any other cutaways.
Okay, ready? Okay, so ready, and I've caught it.
The touchdown?
Touchdown.
Still honor, still honor, still honor, still honor, still honor, still honor. Cut away. Under.
I like that we played that out.
What's the under?
The under is at $2.30.
Golly.
Yeah.
The bigger problem is I don't think he's scoring a touchdown.
No, and okay. So thank you for bringing that up. This is on the ESPN broadcast only, according to Tab, and bets refunded if Travis Kelce does not score a touchdown.
It's a no bet.
Yeah.
So it's harmless. Well,
unless
chances are,
unless it's the game-winning touchdown, and we get players celebrating for a bit. The
one thing, if they're slow to get to her, and she's kind of like turning around and high-fiving people, and they keep the camera on until they get her face.
It's a good thought. It's the type of production thought that comes from an experienced media professional. But
right.
I'm ultimately going that I don't think they can help themselves.
5 seconds is a lot.
It's a long time.
We're not WWE with the cuts.
No, not quite.
But you're going to want Kelce, Swift, Kelce angle, Mahomes, Reed. It's going to cut. 5 seconds is a long time for that shot.
It is.
What's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.
Good game, my friend.
Oh, well,
That'll do it for this edition of the Super Bowl Novelty Propular Demand Special, brought to you by Tab. But to point the obvious, break the fourth wall. This is fun.
This has been an amazing week.
This is one of my favorite shows, if not my favorite show we do all year. Because we're in person, I enjoy your company, and we're here at the game. We've been breaking this down so serious all week, and now it's A, what do you think is going to happen, and B, a little tongue in cheek, just as we do talk the game.
I mean, we did 3 shows from here this week. The first one was a phenomenal opening up to our watchers, our viewers, our community, our family of the Brekkie show. The questions that came in. Oh, yeah. And the questions were a mixture of giggles, but a lot of great and analytical ones. So that show, it wasn't just the people show. That was also turned out to be our analytical show. Yeah. Then we had a phenomenal reaction time.
Beep, 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 beep. Breaking news just in.
Exactly. And we had Charlotte Offit, the NFL Australia New Zealand GM, join us and talk about the historic announcement of the MCG getting.
And she gave us info. I mean, she did not hold back. It was not PR speak. She was candid. It was great.
So please go check that one out, because that's timeless. That's not changing. That's providing you information about these amazing games that I know so many of you are excited about. And go check out the mailbag one, because again, I know you guys are counting down the clock until the hours are ticking by. They can't get here soon enough for Super Bowl kickoff. So please go have a look at go check out the first episode of the week. Where we broke down all sorts of facets of this game and responded to your comments and questions, which is a great time. And then we get to wrap up in the way we do. Yes, you've got a Greg Norman-esque lead going into the Super Bowl, and you don't look as shaky as the Shark did.
But not Van de Veldian.
No, you don't look as sharky as he did.
This is Tiger Woods Pebble 2000.
There you go.
We're just going to lawn darts in my red. I'm wearing all black today.
Oh, but it's been a phenomenal week. We've got a big game to go.
We do. Come check us out on our pregame blitz, Monday, 9 a.m. on ESPN from inside the Superdome. It'll be myself, Sam Acho, Mike Tannenbaum, and then we will seamlessly baton pass to kickoff. Chris Fowler, Dan Orlovsky, Lewis Riddick on the call. Best in the game. Looking forward to it. For Laurie Horesh, I'm Phil Murphy. Thank you so much for joining us all season and all week here in New Orleans.